fat, crazy daddy.
Is that mommy?
The videos you just saw are of my beautiful family. From an outsider's perspective, we had it all. What nobody saw is that my husband Jonathan suffered from bipolar disorder. For many years, we didn't have the societal awareness to understand what Jonathan was experiencing. Deep shame and stigma enabled the most alarming symptoms to be hidden. Jonathan lived a high-functioning and successful life with insomnia, depression, anxiety, and mood swings hiding in plain sight. I knew things were getting increasingly more alarming when my once naturally energetic and social husband started having anxiety attacks at the suggestion of having dinner with his very oldest and best friends, or when his answer to the normal marriage question of, "How did you sleep?" was met with, "Not at all," for days on end. When we don't talk about mental illness and mental health challenges, there's no model for those suffering and for their loved ones to easily recognize the need for help. When there is no community with active role models of those successfully managing mental illness, the stigmas and shame only persist. Generally speaking, the thing about serious mental illness is that it gets worse if left untreated. Everything came to a head for my family in February 2019 when Jonathan had a manic episode, was hospitalized, and ultimately diagnosed with bipolar disorder. Over the course of the next 5 months, with each other and mental health professionals, we worked so diligently to learn about Jonathan's disorder and best practices for treatment. I will never forget frantically calling FSG on my way home from my first visit with Jonathan in the psychiatric unit, completely overwhelmed and terrified, asking for help with what to tell my 3 young children. FSG's clinicians talked me through strategies and provided such an amazing lifeline of support. The copy of The Bipolar Bears, a children's book explaining Jonathan's condition in the most simple terms, still sits on my son's bookshelf today. In early July of 2019, after several medication changes, Jonathan was beginning to feel strong and mentally stable, but with complaints of being unable to catch his breath. On July 19th, 2019, Jonathan died from a massive pulmonary embolism that caused cardiac arrest. It all happened too fast, and to say it was unexpected is a massive understatement. Immediately after Jonathan died, all of my energy was spent trying to survive each moment, to breathing in and out, to putting one foot in front of the other. The reality that I had just lost half of my household income and that my health insurance didn't cover mental health services hit hard. I was emotionally paralyzed by grief, worried about my children and their well-being, and did not know how I would handle financially supporting their new mental health needs, among everything else in my new upside-down world. It's easy to look around the North Shore and only see the privileged aplenty. It's easy to forget that sometimes everyone needs a hand. Without hesitation, FSG stepped up and worked with the boys immediately in a way that didn't add any financial burden or compounding stress. It was the most crucial lifeline that we needed at the time. To be honest, I'm not sure how I would have gotten through all of this without FSG and the people of Glencoe. It's now been almost 2 years since Jonathan's death, and the Glencoe community continues to amaze me, especially after this most challenging year. People still ask me a lot of questions, and how are the boys is generally at the top. Much of the work that we've done relates to language development to better help them express their feelings. Many of the most genuinely happy moments these days come from the talks that the boys and I are now able to have because of this work. It's such a joy for me to see how far they've come both socially and emotionally. We still take things day by day, but I see such improvements with their coping strategies and ability to communicate their feelings in a more constructive manner. We've become a very strong team, the 4 of us. I think we're doing just fine. It's the little wins, I tell myself. come to peace with the fact that there will never be a silver lining or reason for my family's pain and loss, because sometimes there just isn't one. What I can do to keep Jonathan's legacy and spirit alive is to tell his story, to tell our story about living with mental illness. Without the support of Family Service of Glencoe and this community as a whole, I don't know how I would have braved this storm. We're all better, stronger, and more courageous when we have the support of those who lift us up. Together, we must work to expand our community understanding and access to help for those struggling with mental illness. We must tell our stories and provide active role models to chip away at the stigma surrounding mental illness in ways that cripple people and families. We must support incredible organizations like FSG and make it a point to lend a hand, lift someone up, or proactively help if you see someone struggling with mental illness. Thank you.